Hi, this is Jason from Horrific Nightmares, and welcome back to the Terror in the Isles Challenge. This is a segment I've been doing with my good buddy Joe the Horror Man, where we're going to examine films from Terror in the Isles. Not only the theatrical cut, but the television cut as well. Today we're going to be talking about Dawn of the Dead. Dawn of the Dead is a 1978 film which runs approximately 127 minutes and is written and directed by the late great George A. Romero. He passed away on July 16th, 2017, at the age of 77. He was responsible for Martin, The Crazies, and Night of the Living Dead, which we've already covered here. Now this stars David Emge as Stephen, something like that. He was in Basket Case 2, Hellmaster, and The Booby Hatch. Ken Foree is Peter. He was in the Halloween remake, The Devil's Rejects, and Lords of Salem. And Scott H. Reiniger as Roger. He was in the Dawn of the Dead remake, Night Riders, and Danny. Now this has a budget of $650,000, and it just happens to be one of my favorite movies of all time, even though it's a zombie movie. But this one actually got it right. I'm going to it doesn't really have much of a story, so I'm going to go into just a brief synopsis, because I'm pretty sure most people have seen this by now. This is about some people who are, I think it's four people who end up escaping and flying away, trying to find some place safe that has less zombies than maybe some of the other places in the city. And they end up finding a mall in the kind of like in the sticks in a backwoods area, and they basically set up house from there. I don't want to go into too much of anything else because this movie's an experience, and one of the things I've always liked about it is it starts right away with the action and the zombies and everything like that. Now, the way I've always looked at it, and I could be wrong about this, but I'm fine with it, is that this kind of takes place directly after Night of the Living Dead. After Ben gets killed, of course, that's the next day, which to me is one of the biggest gut punches in all of horror. After he gets killed, we're in a different area it's all shot in Pennsylvania, so we're in a different area of Pennsylvania where you have a SWAT team going into an apartment building, and you also have a TV station, and a culmination of four people from that area end up being on the run and trying to set up house at the mall. Yeah, I'm gonna leave it there. One of the things I always loved about this is the fact of the mall setting. It's very nostalgic, first of all, and it always brings me back to the first time I saw the film. I just thought it was so cool that they were able to kind of take control of the whole mall and kind of do whatever they wanted. I always thought that was really neat. And this, let's see, this was about when I was like 13, maybe 14. It was a summertime and I was off from school, and I was primarily a slasher watcher. I would watch anything slasher related. And I decided that I wanted to get into more of the films that made horror what it is today or what it is then. Now, I did watch a lot of the Universal horror movies and rented them and some of the Hammers. But where I started was actually my first kind of dive into the older horror was Psycho. And of course, my second was Night of the Living Dead, because that had such a big impact on where zombies ended up even now. And after I got done with Night of the Living Dead, I decided that I wanted to watch Dawn of the Dead. Now, granted, it was popular, just not as popular as it is now. Of course, that was about 4 years after it got released, and it was a few years before Day of the Dead. So, but I saw Dawn of the Dead. I rented it on tape, and it blew my mind, and it kind of changed the way I looked at other subgenres of horror. Because, like I said, I was mostly slasher, and of course, Psycho is, I mean, it's technically considered a slasher. Night of the Living Dead was a zombie movie, but this was only the second one that I had seen. So it had a really big impact on me. Now, of course, Joe and I were talking back and forth about a few things in the movie. One of the things I wanted to talk about, and what's really weird, is I am not familiar with names of the characters because, like I said, there's only really four main characters, and they are so tight knit and just so infused in the story that I don't even really think of their names. So you have the cop that got bit when they were working on sealing up the mall. I always wondered why it was such a huge reveal when he turned. Now, granted, it's done in high. He had more makeup on. He looked more like a zombie. They did him up a little bit better than a lot of the other generic ones. But if you really think about it, um, we knew he was going to get turned into a zombie because everyone who gets bit turns. I think it was because we were so invested in the characters that we held out hope that it wouldn't happen. I don't know. And one of the things I also took personally is when the motorcycle gang comes in and tries to take their home. And I never really considered it their home, even though I've said it a few times. It was basically a mall that they took over that they could do whatever they wanted in. But in talking to Joe, I do agree that it was their home, basically. They tried to set it up as much like a home as possible. And when the motorcycle gang infiltrated their home, it always pissed me off. It always made me feel bad, even though of course Tom Savini's in it. But it always kind of just made me feel like they were taking something away from me, and it takes talent to do something like that to make it personal. So yeah, let me get to my relatable recommendation. I love this movie. I could watch it over and over again, and even at 127 minutes, it still flies by because it's brilliantly paced. My relatable recommendation is going to be a nod from the Fangoria Challenge, and that is Day of the Dead. Now, this is my least favorite of the Romero Dead trilogy. For me, it would be Dawn of the Dead, Night of the Living Dead, and Day of the Dead third. But I still love this movie. It's just the other two are just so amazing that this just comes in third for me. I think the special effects are better than that in this one, but you know, I love the story of Dawn and Night as well. But yeah, definitely check this one out. I mean, even though it's like my third favorite out of the Dead trilogy, um, I love this movie. It's absolutely fantastic. I mean, just in Dawn of the Dead, you have the score by Goblin and Dario Argento worked on it. It's almost a perfect movie. So check out Day of the Dead. It's fantastic, of course. I don't need to tell most people that. Check out Dawn of the Dead. It is an amazing film. Yeah, definitely one of my favorites of all time. And don't forget to check out Joe's review and see what he picked as a recommendation. And if you like what you see in here, hit that like button and subscribe. And until next time, peace.